wonderful to have your favorite hymn played for you just before you stand up to preach. So thank you to that wonderful group of Pathfinders. And thank you also to Paula for inviting me here. I did not know that you were going to hand the mantle on today, but I still came. Paula and I worked together for many years at the British Union office, and it was always a pleasure, so I couldn't resist when she asked me to come. But I look here at these rows, such handsome-looking people. It looks much better than normal, because we've got all the youth and the Pathfinders at the front, and I don't have to look further back. I'm not going to name any names. I can see someone smiling at me just knowing I'm going to say her name, but I'll resist. But it's good to see you Pathfinders and to see those pictures that were on the screen of the great activities that you've done over the past year. Because that's the fun of Pathfinders, isn't it? You may not know it, but a long time ago, last century, I was a Pathfinder in this very church. Tony Crouch, those of you up there, you remember Tony Crouch? He was the Pathfinder director, and I went on a Pathfinder camp for the first time in my life. I went on a Pathfinder camp. He took us up to Dunstable Downs sometime before Easter, and we all arrived there, and we put the tents up, and then it started snowing. And yet somehow I stayed in Pathfinders for years. We had a great time at that camp. We enjoyed it. The snow came down, but I think we used a little bit more methylated spirits in our cooker than we should have done, because the snow seemed to melt on the top of our tent. And we had a good time, and I got involved in Pathfinders for many years, and it's fantastic. Your theme text for this year, Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 1. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth. And that's one of the reasons I like Pathfinders, because in Pathfinders, you get out into God's creation. Even if it's snowing on top of your tent, you get out there and you have fun. You get out there and you do all sorts of activities and you learn all sorts of things. I did my advanced flower honor. I think I've forgotten most of the names now, but I had this scrapbook full of, I think you had to know 100 flowers at that time. I probably still know 30 of them. And now I'm teaching them to my grandchildren. It's great to be out there. The joy of pathfindering. We still like camping, Pastor Clifford. We haven't done too much recently because of our family situation, but that situation resolved itself, and I'm saying to my wife, we can start camping again. But somehow in the 6th decade of our lives, she's not as enthusiastic as she was when we were more your age. And that's maybe because you are only using the first part of Ecclesiastes 12 as your monument, as your thought for the year. Because when you read on, it says, remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come and the years approach when you'll say, I have no pleasure in them. That's for you back there. Even almost for Pastor Clifford, but because he's become elevated in this Pathfinder role, you can still share in the joy of youth for a while, and the rest of us pretend. But enjoy while you've got the chance. Enjoy those honors, enjoy the camping, enjoy the activities. It's really great, and that's the part of it I always liked. And even at Newbold, I was one of the Pathfinder leaders there, and teaching guides and we took them away for a weekend of backpacking up in the Brecon Beacons, and it was fantastic. I came back with the most incredible backache, but we had a fantastic camp, and it's those kinds of things that I really, really enjoyed. I like it in the Message Bible. It just puts it very slightly differently. In the Message, it says, honor and enjoy your Creator while you're still young, before the years take their toll and your vigor wanes, before your vision dims and the world blurs and the winter years keep you close to the fire. I have no intention of staying close to the fire, But what I like is that rather than use the word remember, it uses the word honor. And there's a slight difference there, isn't there? Because you can remember that it's your mum's birthday. That doesn't mean you buy her a present. But if you honor your mother, you're going to get together and you think, what could we do that would just be a little bit special? Is there something that would make the day different for her? Honor just takes it one stage further, doesn't it? And in a sense, Solomon's looking over a long life, and you read the book of Ecclesiastes, and I have to confess, you might just feel a little bit down if you read the whole book in one go, because he does go through a lot there saying, everything's vanity. It doesn't matter what you do. You get your PhD or your doctorate in something or other, and then it's wasted. I'm not saying that to you to stop studying now. I'm certainly not going to read to you one of the last verses in the book where, verse 12? I'm going to read it to you. It says, of the making of many books there is no end, and much study wearies the soul. Not in Pathfinders. No, you can. There are a lot of books out there, and you can. What he's really saying, in a sense, is you need to choose. Because there's a vast amount of stuff out there, and the joy in Pathfinders is you're choosing the good ones. You're learning all those. I'm looking at your sash there, and you've got all these badges down it. I'm looking at Pastor Herman's sash and thinking he's got to get a few more. And, I left my sash at home. But there's different things that you can learn and you can enjoy and you can explore, and it's different things than you do at school, and it's maybe some things you do with your family at home, and it's things you do when you go to camporee. I really enjoyed the camporee this summer, the TED camporee. I didn't have enough money to go to Oshkosh, but I went to the TED camporee, and I saw you all having a great time there, and it was fantastic, and that's part of it. You honor God, your creator, and then you honor him more by doing honors, by learning more about all this wonderful world that he's given us, and that's really great. If you look back in the previous chapter, in Ecclesiastes chapter 11 and verse 7, it says, Solomon writes, light is sweet, and it pleases the eyes to see the sun, and it does. I was happy earlier this week when the sun was out and it was frosty, but it was beautiful to get out there. But then it goes back to us old folks and says, however many years a man may live, let him enjoy them all. But let him remember the days of darkness, for they will be many. Everything to come is meaningless. But verse 9, be happy, young man, while you are young, and young women, because we need to include everybody. And let your heart give you joy in the days of your youth. I hope you're having joy in your Pathfinders. If you're not having joy, I would have said to you, go and talk to Paula. But now you've got to go and talk to some other people sitting over there. Because, Pathfinders, it was fun for me. I enjoyed it when I was a Pathfinder here at Stanborough as a child. I enjoyed it as a Pathfinder leader in various churches that I pastored. And I've learned so much from being a part of this experience. That's why I couldn't resist going to the TED camporee back in the summer. And my joy levels went up again during that week, even though I had to work quite hard there. Follow the ways of your heart, and whatever you see, but know that in all these things God will bring you into judgment. Because that's another part of the honors as well. It's making choices. Solomon is telling us to have fun, but he's telling us to choose which kind of fun we should be having. And it can be very tempting when we're young to choose some fun. And I'm not going to tell you any of those stories about the fun that some of us chose when we were young. But with Pathfinders, it encourages us to make the right choices, to expand our horizons, to do all of those wonderful honors. And let me move on. I promised Paula I would only be 15 minutes. And because there is a third part. You'll see the title in the bulletin. It said, Honor honors, and honest. Because if you go back to chapter 3, we seem to be studying Ecclesiastes in reverse, but in chapter 3, that's probably the most famous part of Ecclesiastes because you have a list there. And you are good at lists because I heard you recite the Pathfinder law this morning, and I know there was a cheat because it was on the screen and I was trying not to look at it to make sure I could remember it. I was listening very closely to Pastor Herman to make sure that he knew it, because if he's the Pathfinder director for the whole of South England, I should ask you to recite it again, but I'll be kind. He's going to do it. He could. I have no question he could do it. But you're used to lists. And here in Ecclesiastes, you have this list. There's a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot. And it goes down through all of these things, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. But then it goes on, and it has a very beautiful little verse in there, in verse 11, where he says, God has made everything beautiful in his time. And he's also set eternity in the hearts of men, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Because, we don't understand everything about God. And Solomon didn't understand everything about God. And Solomon found parts of his life he'd gone wrong and things were meaningless and didn't have the value they thought they should have. But when you come to the verse that has been your motto for the whole year, remember your Creator, honor your Creator in the days of your youth, Solomon has come to recognize that is the most important thing. As Pathfinders, you're going to face challenges. You're going to have people that make fun of you because you believe in God. They're going to make fun of you because you believe God is a creator and things didn't come through other strange ways of evolution. They're going to make fun of you because you have a hope for the future and they're saying, no, when it's finished, that's it. You're just gone. But Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived, is saying to you as Pathfinders, honor your God. Honor your Creator. Respect him. Value him. And the honors you're then doing in Pathfinders, they're adding to your respect for him as you learn so many things. And then the last bit is being honest, because you've become special to God. He's set eternity in your hearts. He's made everything beautiful for you. I found there's two kinds of people in the world. I belong to a Facebook group called We Love Bracknell. There may be one here called We Love Watford. I don't know. Is there anything to love in Watford? I'm sure there is. I lived a good section of my life here. There's a lot of beauty here. But I belong to one called We Love Bracknell. And in that group, I found there's two kinds of people. There's the kind of people that say, did you see those people dropping litter in the street? It is shameful. Did you see those kids climbing up on the roof of the dome in the town centre? That is terrible. Did you see that person that broke the speed limit and came around the roundabout too fast? And there's this whole group of people that in We Love Bracknell seem to hate it because they say everything that's bad about it. But I stay in that group because there's another group of people that tell you stories of the man that was queuing up at the supermarket checkout, an elderly man, and the lady in front of him just gave the cashier an extra £20 and said, pay for his shopping. He didn't need it. He didn't ask for it. She just did it. And then the person behind that saw what was happening, and she just put it on the group. The person that says, I actually go out litter picking. Yes, there are people that drop rubbish around the area. I live 200 meters from McDonald's, and I can tell you the clientele of McDonald's are not always that good at putting rubbish in the bin. But I see other people going around and picking it up. And so I see this balance. And I think of you as Pathfinders and adventurers, you can remember God, or you can honor him by being that second kind of group that does nice things for other people, not asking for anything to come back, that just stops and does it spontaneously. And you don't need to be wearing your uniform to say, I'm a Pathfinder, so I have to behave today. But just because you're you, because you honor God, you've learned so much in Pathfinders and in church, and you've become an honest, superb Christian young girl, young boy, growing up to be as a wonderful example as this, or as these three ladies. Oh, sorry, not three ladies. Sorry, two ladies and one gentleman that are still honored to be serving in Pathfinders today because they have recognized God is our creator. God is the one to be honored. God is the best thing that we can serve through our lives and then through eternity. Amen.